Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I just had to take some time to thank you guys so much. After my recent Highguard video, we started out with 68 subscribers and now we're nearly at 200 subscribers, so I can't thank you guys enough. Today we've got big yet unfortunate news from the game development world. Wildlight Entertainment, the studio behind the new multiplayer shooter Highguard, has reportedly laid off most of their team just weeks after the game's release. In this video, I'll break down what's going on, why it matters for the future of Highguard, and how it fits into a trend of tough breaks in the live shooter space. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here's the core of the situation. Highguard launched on January 26, 2026 with quite a bit of hype. It was revealed at the end to conclude the Game Awards 2025 and had a strong peak player count at launch, seeing roughly 97,000 players. But after a string of negative reviews, poor optimization, and nearly zero marketing for this game, Highguard barely scratches through with roughly 3,000 concurrent players daily. And now, as of February 11th, 2026, less than 3 weeks after release, Wildlight Entertainment has laid off a large portion of their staff. On a LinkedIn post, Alex Grainer has reported that he was laid off along with most of the team. This is factual because Wildlight Entertainment has now come out themselves, tweeting that today they made an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of their staff, while still keeping a core group of developers to support the game Highguard. Let me know your thoughts on this news down below in the comments, and let's take time to put this all into better context. Live service games succeed or fail based on long-term player investment, not just launch success or numbers. The retention curve for Highguard was steep, and lots of players left quicker than expected within its first few hours. This birthed a loyal and dedicated player base to Highguard. It became a niche shooter game, and the support we've seen has been great so far with 5v5, a new season, and ranked. The ongoing support, communication, and content cadence are crucial for this game's life cycle, and shrinking the team this early on makes that incredibly difficult. And it all honestly has me questioning if Highguard is over. This certainly isn't the first high-profile online shooter to hit hard times right out of the gate. In 2024, we saw Concord, a multiplayer hero shooter from Sony, be shut down just 2 weeks after launch. That game was a full-priced release and failed to stand out in a genre dominated by free-to-play shooters. So what did Sony do? Well, Sony pulled the plug and decided to refund players. The key difference between the two of these studio situations, Concord was completely shut down and eventually its studio closed. Highguard hasn't been shut down as of yet. The game is still playable and Wildlight says they're keeping a core team, but the staffing situation puts it in a similarly precarious position if momentum doesn't turn around. So Concord serves as a warning. Early problems, a loss or lack of player interest, and inability to sustain ongoing work can end a game. A slightly different example is XDefiant, Ubisoft's free-to-play arena shooter. XDefiant launched in 2024 and initially attracted many players. But Ubisoft ultimately announced that development will be discontinued and the game will be sunsetted in 2025. I was a huge fan of XDefiant, loving the aesthetic, loving the gunplay, loving everything about the game. And I was really saddened to hear that the game was ending, and I feel equally as sad about Highguard. XDefiant servers stayed up until June 3rd, 2025, meaning the shutdown wasn't exactly immediate, but was still premature for a live service title, and wasn't the long life cycle that people expected. Ubisoft laid off hundreds of team members or moved them elsewhere as part of this process. This shows that even big publishers with more resources aren't immune to hard decisions when a game doesn't perform as hoped or planned. It's very unfortunate that we're only 3 weeks in, but here's where things stand and what could happen next. Wildlight Entertainment has said that a core group is staying to work on the game, so support might continue. I think the more logical question we all should be wondering is for how long that support will continue, but the pace will likely be affected. New updates, events, and fresh content could lag behind community expectations due to the smaller team now. The struggling player base will shrink even more now if nothing changes, especially in such a crowded and competitive shooter market. The game isn't necessarily dead yet, but layoffs this early generally signal trouble and make the road ahead steeper. It's quite insane how rapidly we're seeing these studios and creative teams be dispersed. Some just weeks after they released their project. These are real human beings who spent months, if not years, devoting themselves to a project. And these kinds of outcomes can be really tough on both the devs and the community. If you enjoyed Highguard and want it to grow now more than ever, it really matters to support it constructively, giving feedback, engaging with YouTube content, and encouraging the team respectfully. Highguard isn't necessarily dead yet, but it could be holding on by one last string. Leave a comment with your take on the situation. What do you think Wildlight Entertainment should do next? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for deeper discussions like this. See you guys next time.